My name is Michael Hurley. I'm the director of a company called Strata Title Management in Brisbane, Australia. I have been a manager for 30 years in this business, and I think I've seen many things over time. However, it's just wonderful to be here. Thank you.
You have social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
yes.
YouTube?
Yes, we also use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and a couple of others.
Please.
In Australia, the administration of high-rise, low-rise and condominiums, townhouses, is a professional organisation run by administrative managers who are well trained and have to have formal qualifications. In some states they are required to have a licence. Strata Community Association is the professional body in Australia, and we provide training to managers all over the country. In some states there is a minimum education requirement for it, and we ensure that those requirements are met and or exceeded. Buildings in Australia are run from very ordinary low-rise to high-rise that are very complicated and need both strata managers, administration managers, facility managers, and they are run by committees or boards who are elected each year at their assembly by the owners, and they work with the strata manager or the building manager to run the building. So impressed and so delighted to be here, but it's a wonderful conference, and I personally have learned a lot about what's happening in Colombia and the other countries in Central and South America, and how advanced in some areas you are to Australia.
Okay.
So that there's a lot of differences, but essentially we're all the same in a lot of different ways. But certainly I'm most impressed with what I have seen here in Bogota.
Okay. Are there many differences between the things that you do in Australia and the things that we do here in Latin America?
I think it's very similar. The way we do things is probably slightly different, but essentially from listening to the panel yesterday and listening to this morning and what's happening, I think essentially we're all doing the same thing slightly differently, because we have to work with different rules and regulations and different peoples. Now have in Australia only recently, because it has taken many years of working with different people, governments and universities, to get a formal educational qualification. In Australia it's called a diploma. Diploma of Strata Community Management. We also have some other Certificate 4s in Strata Community Management, and in the very near future we will have a formal university degree as well.
Focused in administration?
Focused purely on administration of condominiums to high-rises, yes. And it will be about financial controls, it will be about management, it'll be about some legal issues, regulations, all those types of things that you need to know, facility management, etc., to look after the buildings. We have good and bad managers in Australia. We find that if they're bad or not very good, they tend to be pushed aside, and the buildings, the high-rise, low-rise, medium-rise, the owners' committees or boards find a professional manager. There are still what we would call cowboys in the industry. We want to make certain that they go away, and that's why we're raising the standards. So we have those problems.
Okay.
But we're not perfect yet. There is no regulation in Australia for salaries. However, a good manager will earn anywhere from 50,000 Australian dollars to about $120,000 per year, depending upon the type of work that they do, the complications, etc. So that a person who is only looking after small buildings that are not complicated would be at the lower end. Where you have a high salary, you have somebody that's very experienced and well educated and looking after complicated complexes, high rises, etc. It's quite common now to go up, and in Australia now, in each state and major cities, the planning laws that from the government require us to have medium, high and low density type development, so that you have high rises in the inner city. In the middle ring you might have medium density, and also they are planning so that where you have transport corridors, where there are trains or buses, etc., then they're rezoning the areas so that they can build medium, low and high density housing.
The height depends on the area?
Yes, and on the zoning.
Okay.
The highest buildings in Brisbane would be 40 floors. In Sydney they might be 60 to 100 in the city. But out in the suburbs, 10, 20 maybe, 5, 10, 15, 20.
That's medium rise.
Yeah. There are the development companies will advertise, will have brochures, a bit like what's morning with Sikkim from Guatemala. So you have people that are showing you. However, more importantly, when you go to buy an apartment or a townhouse, there is legal requirements to ensure that you know what you are buying. Government forms will inform you as part of the sales contract that you are buying into a condominium and you have to be part of it, and you must pay your levies or your maintenance fees.
Un abrazo y no olviden seguirnos en redes sociales.